To the 1990 Goldpin Coca-Cola Classic from the Browns Plains Lanes in Brisbane. I'm your host, Chris Bombolas, and joining me in the commentary team is Jeanette Baker. And Jeanette, a first-round match between Ashley Ablett and Carl Bottomley, two young players from Brisbane.
Yes, the local players should know these lanes inside out, much more so than the interstate players.
First up, Ashley Ablett.
Great start.
That is a good start by Ablett, and we'll have a look at that one again on replay. He started confidently. He is one of the form bowlers coming into this event. He's had a host of minor placings as we look at Ashley Ablett's first delivery in the Goldpin Coca-Cola Classic.
The ball solid in the pocket, no question about that shot.
Carl Bottomley is a young man, 21 years of age, from Bulimba in Brisbane. He's a Queensland Open winner. Rather high on the head pin that time.
Well, that went over to the Brooklyn side. He's shooting a very tight inside line. And consequently, when the ball hits the pins, especially the way Carl risked the ball so much, as we see, it's going down there on the left-hand side of the head pin. And there's the 5-10 left. A lot of shoulder.
Oh, and a gallant effort to try and get that spare. Unfortunately, he doesn't quite make it. And that gives Ashley Ablett the jump that he needed on Carl Bottomley. And Carl is the '89 Asian Youth Masters champion, Redcliffe Open and the Southern Plains Open winner. And in 1990, he's had a pretty good year, the Caboolture, Green Slopes and Southern Plains Open. And in his junior days, he was a South Pacific champion in '86 and '87. Important for him to get back on the board here.
Yes, Carl would want to try and get a strike here.
And again, he went Brooklyn, but he's still got the desired result.
Absolutely. On the Brooklyn side, but the bottom line was all 10 pins fell down. Over we go. He's not impressed, not impressed.
But he'll take the 10. Ashley Ablett is from Victoria Point in Brisbane, and he is an assistant manager at the Capalaba Bowl. He was runner-up in the '89 Rum City Classic, 4th place in the Kingston Doubles, 3rd place in the 1990 Capalaba Open, and equal 3rd in the 90 Clayfield Ansett Doubles.
Oh, that was a very wide shot. You could see on the release the thumb was down a little bit too soon and the ball just skidded straight through, consequently missing the head pin early. Arm way too far out to the right there, waiting for the ball to come up, but no, left with the row there on the left-hand side.
Have a look at pin cam, and really too wide, completely missed the pocket.
Completely. Not an easy spare to convert this one, all 4 pins.
Get over. He called it, he wanted it to get over, and it did.
That's right, it's quite often that you can get 2 or 3 out of that one, but the ball has to deflect at the right time to be able to convert all 4. As we watch the ball go down, heading to the left-hand side, yes, just getting in that 4 pin.
Of course, the winner of the 1990 Goldpin Classic gets a trip to the High Roller in Las Vegas. Prize money in that one is worth $250,000 to the winner.
Solid shot. Made up for the mistake he made in the previous frame there. And of course, it's very handy when you finish a 2-frame series. Much better release. Good follow through. The desired result, the ball rolling up into the pocket, and all 10 pins fall down.
Carl started with an open frame. He'll be looking, followed that up with a strike. He'll be looking for a double here. He's got it. That's the double. And of course, at this level of 10-pin bowling, it's imperative you close all the frames, Jeanette. Classic. And this is a round 1 match between Carl Bottomley and Ashley Ablett, both bowlers from Brisbane. At the moment, Ashley Ablett looking the goods against Carl Bottomley, but he's got a spare. He's got a double. He's looking forward to that turkey.
Well, the last shot, Carl gave it a little bit more room, allowed the ball to come back of its own accord instead of helping it. Sometimes with the wrist players that use a lot of wrist, it is a downfall. Once again, going Brooklyn on that left-hand lane, looking for a strike, but accepting the fact that there's only 1 pin standing. As we see him come through really hard with the ball, all wrist action. heaps of revs on the Brooklyn, but the pin going in the gutter.
And like all good bowlers, makes no mistake with a spare and closes the frame. At this level of bowling, as we said before, it's imperative that you close all the frames and don't allow your opponent to get too much of a jump, because it is only 10 frames.
Absolutely. With the one-game playoff, it's very, very tough out there. You've got to get out of the blocks very quick and stay solid all the way through. You can't afford to have that one open frame, because it's not easy under these conditions to get the string of strikes to cover.
Bottomley waits now as Ablett comes in. Ooh. That'll be an interesting one to see on pin cam that time. He was a little unlucky, I thought.
Well, the way he was able to, as we see, below the pins, 5-pin the last pin to move there, just touching the 7-pin. I personally believe that leaving that 7-pin is just a slightly underturned shot. That is, the rotation of the fingers was not quite to the side of the ball.
Ashley Ablett is into snow, water and jet skiing when he's not bowling. Now his mind is totally on the lanes. Makes that one safely and again closes the frame, so he hasn't left any open so far. And he certainly is giving Carl Bottomley plenty to think about. Ablett, of course, qualified 22nd, bottom of the seedings, but he's looking good at the moment.
He's looking very solid. Even on that right-hand lane, he made a better shot, better execution. The key thing, of course, is staying in the pocket. You stay around the pocket area, you give yourself the best chance to execute the strikes. Get over.
No, he knew that wasn't good when it left his hand.
Yeah, he was calling it over to give himself a chance to perhaps get a strike on the Brooklyn side, but it was a little bit soft when it hit. We see there the thumb's very much inside the ball and over the top. Consequently, it goes Brooklyn, but a very soft shot, leaving the 5-9.
Jeanette, you're bowling in this series a little later on. How much pressure is there just keeping an eye on the scoreboard, seeing it's only over 10 frames?
Right, good cover on that one. Well, with its 10 frames, I myself personally don't make an effort to watch the score. You concentrate on making a good shot, right, and providing you execute a good shot. That was a better shot for the spare. Fingers in a better place there for Ashley. Consequently, covers the spare well.
Bottomley has, of course, bowled 300 twice in his career. Looking for a strike and got it. That looked good from the moment it left his hand.
He rode that one. He knew he'd come through the shot exactly as he wanted to do. Come straight up through the ball in preference to coming around early and tugging it.
Obviously, in this format, once you see your opponent get a good start, you have to get the mind back onto the strikes and make sure you cover up.
Absolutely. It's staying as clean as you possibly can, and if you're around the pocket area, then at least you're putting the pressure upon your opponent to execute better.
Bottomley now.
A rocking 10-pin. It hurts when you're looking for that double. It really does hurt. He'd given the ball plenty of room on that shot. Came back very hard, very late. As we see the 6-pin just drop in the gutter. Touched the 10-pin, but not quite hard enough to take it over.
No mistake with the spare again from Bottomley. Closes up that frame. Looks back at the big crowd here at the Browns Plains 10-pin. Ablett now for a reply. We have a look at Bottomley again. He's got a beautiful style.
Very strong. He wasn't too sure. He was waiting for that pin to just move over a little bit for him. And at the bottom of the 5th, the score difference is only 10 pins. There's not much in it at all, the way these guys are hitting the pocket. Great shot.
Very animated was Ashley Ablett that time. He made sure of it, and the strike comes in handy for him at this stage.
As we see, good knee bend, follow through, waits until the ball's gone before he comes up and rides a solid strike.
Take a break here on Nine's Wide World of Sports. Back in a moment.
Our tip for today refers to some of the terminology we use in bowling. Over the commentary, you may have heard the term split used. This refers to 2 or more pins after the first ball being left on the deck, where the ball on the second execution may go between 2 of the pins without touching either of them.
Welcome back to Browns Plains Tenpins. This is our 2 combatants. Ashley Ablett, the first man up. He's coming off a strike, looking for a double. And he's involved in a tense first-round battle with Carl Bottomley, both bowlers from Brisbane. Bottomley there having a quick look up at the scoreboard.
Actually, I think Ashley is accrediting himself very well, considering I don't think he's played on television that much before, Chris.
First appearance on television, in fact.
Get up, come on.
They pushed that aboard wide.
Gave that a bit too much room. It's a very easy trap to fall into when you are on a strike, your opponent's looking good, is that you play, to a certain degree, a tentative safety shot, as we see there. Push it a bit wide, miss the head pin and leaving the cluster of 4 pins.
Now looking to spare up is Ablett. Make sure this frame is closed.
Out.
Oh, nasty miss, nasty miss. Because he sent the first one wide, he tugged that one inside and therefore did not convert the spare. It's taken a lot of pressure off of Carl now. Over the ball went, trying to make too short to get on the left-hand side.
Bottomley now realises he has a big chance of advancing into the second round. Of course, Ablett let him in with that one. Might have been a bit of inexperience.
Skip!
Oh, he rode that one home.
Wow, he nearly had a problem there. He hit the ball really hard, gave it a little bit more power. As we see there, right through with that wrist, sending the ball out. The revolution's coming in. The last pin off the deck was the 7 pin. That's a very strong shot from Carl. I think that opening that Ashley gave him would give him the confidence now to start stringing some strikes. He's a solid power bowler, and he loves giving the ball room.
The man on screen, Carl Bottomley. Oh, and again, he went across to the Brooklyn side, but still got 10. Someone up there loves him.
Absolutely. That's the double, not necessarily the required execution, but then thumb round a little bit too soon. The ball goes over to the left hand or the Brooklyn side of the head pin and just tucks in that 6 pin. Thank you, he says.
As a bowler, you'll take every one of those in the back.
Well, in one game matches, it's not how, it's how many.
Ablett now under a lot of pressure.
Great shot, but that 10 pin, sometimes with just the simple down and in shot that Ashley plays, he is using a power wrister, which should assist him with getting leverage on the ball, but thumb a little bit inside on the release. Up it comes, and the 6 pin just wraps around it. That particular wrist guard is one you can adjust it depending upon how far you want to get the fingers underneath the ball.
No mistake again with the spare, so apart from that one open frame, he's been fairly consistent.
He's been very solid. I don't think that he has anything to feel that he hasn't done a good job. He's been in the pocket, made one error, but of course Carl is a seasoned player under these conditions, and he also can send the ball back a long way.
There's Carl Bottomley. He's played in 2 previous Coke, so he's had plenty of experience under lights, whereas Ablett, who's now on the left-hand lane, has only played, well, this is his first appearance.
Great shot, great comeback. That was a solid strike, especially the base frame in the 9th frame, as we see there. A little bit better knee bend. The ball comes into the pocket. Never looked like leaving a 10 pin on that shot.
This is Carl Bottomley, and Ashley Ablett is certainly keeping him honest. Oh, and again, just got there. A little bit of luck helps in this game, I think.
Well, again, because of the technique that Carl uses, he can get the 7 pin out much, much better. Wrist straight through the shot. Very, very strong. follows the 5-pin, and as we see, the 5-pin touches the 7-pin out of position.
We'll take a short break here on Nine's Wide World of Sports and back with more action in the Goldpin Coca-Cola Classic. To Browns Plains 10-pin. This is Carl Bottomley. He's on his way into the second round of the Goldpin Coca-Cola Classic for 1990. He's up against Ashley Ablett, and at the moment, he's looking the goods, Jeanette.
He's looking solid, very, very comfortable out there. Started off a little bit shaky, trying to tug the ball inside a little bit, not prepared to trust it, but since he's trusted it, he's really looking solid.
Again goes Brooklyn, but didn't get the desired result.
Well, I noticed that time that Carl came in a little bit deeper on that lane. I think he was looking for a little bit of oil on the first 15 feet. As we see, up hard through the ball, trying to get the ball to skid down a bit further. But once again, it goes over Brooklyn, soft and leaving that single pin.
Coat of varnish on that one. Shakes the head.
Sometimes that is a problem, Chris, with the competitive bowlers. Is a 5-pin, which is a single pin sitting right in the middle of the lane. You tend to go to it very, very apathetically. It looks so easy, but when you least expect it is the time when you'll miss it.
Exactly the same shot that time. Punches that one out and completes his first round in the Goldpin Coca-Cola Classic as Carl Bottomley.
Very nice 216 to Carl. But of course, even though Carl is the victor, Ashley can still punch out and finish with a 204, which is a great game for his first game on TV.
Ashley Ablett hasn't had all that much experience in tournament bowling, but he has been bowling for about 22 years, so a good debut in the Coca-Cola Classic for him.
Absolutely. Wide once more, leaving the 1-2 pins left on the deck. It sounded as though he got out of that way too quick. He'd never had the chance to release it properly. The ball was gone right on the foul line. He knew halfway down that it wasn't going to come back. As we see, wearing that not only the power wrister, but he's also wearing the strap around his elbow, which tends to be for tennis elbow.
Get up, get up.
Yep, safely converts the spare, so he'll have one more delivery in the Coca-Cola Classic for 1990. That's all experience from here on in.
Oh, it is. He's accredited himself very well for his debut on television, and I think that he'll probably be motivated to endeavour to come back and shoot this tournament again next year.
And that's it, our first match in the Coca-Cola Classic for 1990. Victorious is Carl Bottomley of Queensland. He progresses through to the second round. Ashley Ablett bows out in round one of the 1990 Goldpin Coca-Cola Classic.